Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores. Got a lot to report. Just finished watching the T.I. Jeezy interview. Now it's time to get to business. A lot of things to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about how the coaching staff is light years better than the previous one in various ways. Then I want to talk about who's in or out for training camp. I also want to give a franchise to fans update as far as like season ticket holders and will fans be allowed at stadiums, things like that. Also, there's some big news for the Redwolves movement. There's room for a lot of optimism. And then at the end, I just want to talk about how terrible the NFL Top 100 list is. And before we get to the content y'all came for, of course, we got to huddle up real quick. First of all, make sure y'all go buy the best Washington franchise merch money can buy. Just hit the link in the description of this video under Go Get Street Scores merch. Also, if you want to become a monthly paid member of the best sports YouTube channel out here doing it, there's 4 different levels, each with their own great perks, such as a private football discourse group, shout outs in every video and live stream, a whole bunch of stuff, exclusive gifts, all of that. Just hit the link in the description of this video under become a channel member. Also, pull up to Rant with Rico to call in and let your opinions and questions be heard every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Phone number and link in the description of this video. Also, join my live podcast with me and my boy Shay E, named Broadcast, where we talk about everything: sports, culture, music, life, gaming, anime, much more. When I say sports, I mean baseball, basketball, all of it. And then y'all already know, definitely pull up to the Street Scores Full Access every Sunday, 2 to 4 p.m. where I reply to every comment in the chat. And you already know, once the regular season hits, the Sunday live stream will turn from the full access live stream to the live game live streams where we all watch the games together. And luckily for us, the vast majority of our games are Sunday 1 p.m. so we're able to be on a consistent schedule. And that's the end of the huddle. Hey man, Gucci, just do it for the A, man. Link up with T.I. and Jeezy to settle the situation, please. Now, let's get it. Alright, so first we have to talk about how this coaching staff is a major upgrade from the previous one. I'm not even going to talk about all the negative things that the previous one had with Jay Gruden and everything surrounding him with the Cabri Bibb situation that may have caused Alex Smith's injury, and then like the side women, all of that type of stuff, and then the X's and O's, no halftime adjustment. We ain't even got to dive into all of that. I can go on forever about that. I just want to focus on the positives that this new coaching staff is bringing, like Jack Del Rio side. I love Jack Del Rio, X's and O's wise strictly. And players are talking about how with Jack Del Rio, in comparison to Greg Manusky, there's so much attention to detail. Quote, I like the attention to detail these coaches had this year in teaching the techniques, because there were times last year I didn't even fully understand what technique to use. Now I think they're very thorough, very, very thorough. Also, Del Rio made it very clear that if you want to make a play, go make a play. I'm not going to ever tell you not to. So Jack Del Rio is allowing players to trust their instincts and just go make a play. Don't be restricted to the confines of the basic responsibilities that a defense gives you. If you feel like in your gut and your instincts, from your experience, from your talent, that this is gonna happen, and you feel like you can do something a little bit different to make a play, to be explosive, then do it. Jack Del Rio is gonna trust his players to make the right decisions. But at the same time, Jack Del Rio wants everybody on the same page. So it's just the best of both worlds. Very simple defense. You know exactly what your responsibilities are. They're laid out in front of you for any given situation. And if you feel like you need to stray a little bit away from that and it's going to be productive for the defense, then do it. Also, not even just coaching wise, but Ron Rivera, with the little signs that we saw from Quinn Dunbar before we traded him away. A lot of us wanted to keep him, and we definitely didn't want to trade him for what we ended up trading him for, which was for a 5th round pick. But now it looks smart. Ron Rivera found a way to get rid of Trent Williams. May have been for way cheaper than what we wanted, but it just had to be done. Bruce Allen messed that whole trade up. We should have gotten him for a 1st round last year. But that's the previous regime. This current regime saw the signs early with Quentin Dunbar, and even though he didn't think this would happen, but now Quentin Dunbar has been placed on commissioner's exempt list and cannot play or be near the team until taking off that list. So basically we just got a 5th round pick for free. So shouts out to Ron Rivera for that move. Also, Ron Rivera wise, I like the fact that he's putting pressure on Dwayne Haskins, because, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, Alex Smith has been cleared for football activities, but he will start on the PUP list. But once Alex Smith is cleared to play and can actually participate in the QB competition, Ron Rivera basically said there will be an open competition. Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, and Alex Smith, and I guess technically Steven Montez too also, will all be in an honest QB competition. It's going to be a pure competition. We're going to have guys pushing each other. Dwayne Haskins will not just be the assumed starter because that may allow him to get a little lazy, even though I've seen no signs of laziness this offseason. But I like the fact that there's going to be a pure QB competition to make sure Dwayne Haskins is putting his 110% into this all the way through and making sure that he feels like he earned the spot rather than just giving the starting QB spot. And this is the same thing he did with Cam Newton in Carolina. They didn't name Cam Newton the starter right away. It was kind of, assumed in the background that Cam Newton would win the job. Same thing with Dwayne Haskins. But they told Cam Newton that it was an open competition and that he went out, competed, and earned it, which is the best way to get it. And he became their starter from there on. And Ron Rivera said that's what he's just trying to get across to Dwayne. I want him to understand that just because you're a first round pick or just because you're from here, just because you play the position of quarterback doesn't mean anything's been given. And that's one of the things that we've got to get worked out. He wants to make sure Dwayne Haskins is on his P's and Q's, on his A game at all times. Also, a big plus with this coaching staff compared to the previous one is that Dwayne Haskins actually will be prepared for games correctly. He will not be practicing with the backups against the backups. He will be practicing with the starters against the starters. The offense will be built around him, around his skill set, what's best for him, what works for him, which plays he likes, personnel groupings, all of those type of things. This offense is built around him, so it should set him up for success. I mean, because honestly though, Dwayne Haskins last season had easily top 10 worst QB situations of all time in NFL history. It's number one for me in recent memory. Like, Dwayne Haskins was literally set up for failure. And I'm not even going to dive into that. So technically this season is his rookie season. And this coaching staff, especially Ken Zampese, who brought out that one Baker Mayfield year that was great, is now his QB's coach. Scott Turner is his offensive coordinator. And they're going to do everything it takes to make sure Dwayne Haskins is great out there. And I'm excited. Now, let's get into who's in or out at training camp. First of all, defensive end Caleb Brantley has opted out of the 2020 season with a higher risk opt-out designation. Now, it's not like this really hurts us, but it is interesting that we did lose some defensive line depth, even though it is the strongest position group on our team. And Tim Settle, who barely even played, should be starting on another defensive line. But it's definitely something noteworthy. And luckily for us, Caleb Brantley is the only player that has opted out, because the Patriots over there are hurting. They're losing players left and right. I mean, half the defense is gone. And it kind of makes sense that we don't have a lot of players opting out because a lot of them are young and probably feel like this is our time to make a name for ourselves. And, the younger people, more athletic people feel like even if they get coronavirus, it won't affect them negatively or whatever. And also, younger people usually don't have families. They tend to just live by themselves or live with other football players, just like Dwayne Haskins and Steven Sims live together, or at least used to. So it's not like if Chase Young were to get coronavirus, which I really hope doesn't happen, but even if he were, it's not like he's going back to a wife and kids to possibly spread it to them. And with our team being very young, it definitely makes sense that we don't have players left and right opting out. Also, just to break down what happens when a player opts out, they technically get a $150 stipend. Is really a loan though, because it's a salary advance. It's going to be paid back with next year's salary, which with the contract tolling will be this year's salary. So technically, they're taking out $150,000 from their 2020 contract. It's technically now their 2021 contract. They're taking $150,000, getting it now, basically to hold them over throughout the season. And they're going to have to basically give that money back once they come back the next season. It's literally an advance, or kind of a loan, but just with no interest. Also, speaking of who's out, it looked like Cody Latimer may have been able to be included into the wide receiver competition, and he was allowed to participate in training camp at first, but now with him facing 8 charges, 4 of them being felonies, stemming from his arrest in May in Douglas County, Colorado, he has been placed on the commissioner's exempt list. And of course, he has court dates and things, so once he gets that situated, then he'll be able to go to Roger Goodell and see if he can get off the exempt list. But for now, our wide receiver depth is just minuscule, dark. I mean, this competition is crazy. But Ron Rivera addressed it and basically said that He wants to wait till we actually get to the part of training camp where people are actually practicing against each other and we can truly see what this wide receiver group looks like before he goes and gets somebody. So don't expect us to sign a wide receiver like a Josh Gordon or a Chris Hogan or somebody like that anytime soon. And then as far as random signings, the Washington football team has signed former Titans guard Kevin Panfile to add depth to the offensive line. He's passed the physical and will be in the building. Also, we have gone and signed linebacker Donald Payne. Payne played 30 games for the Jags since 2017. He started 5 last year and had games with 13, 15, 13, and 16 tackles. And I guess this makes sense to add to the room with Reuben Foster starting on the PUP list. Also, we released guard Jeremy Vujnovic, who we just picked up this free agency period, and I'm not surprised that he got released. He was just an offensive line depth signing, so I'm not very surprised. Previous Titans guard, who I just talked about, Kevin Panfile, is basically taking his place. And then, of course, we waived Emmanuel Hall, who wasn't even a guarantee to make the roster in the first place, but then he got hurt, and so he's basically out for season anyway. So Ron Rivera and Kyle Smith just went ahead and waived him. But in positive news, Darius Geis is cleared to go. He's 100%, so we're going to give this thing another try. Hopefully, he can stay healthy this year, because if he can, he can be one of the best running backs in the league from the very limited amount of time we've seen him on the field. But admittingly, if he can't play at least like 10 games this season, then this might be the last season he has with us. Maybe in the NFL period, but I'm pretty sure with us, this will be his last season, especially with the running back group being so deep. But one of the big reasons I'm so excited about Darius Geis is that so far in his short NFL career, with 5.07 yards after contact per attempt, he's first in the entire NFL in that category, period. Also, he's avoided a tackle every 4.2 rush attempts, which is 8th out of the entire NFL. So the potential is there. He can easily be a top 5 running back in this league, really just talent-wise, if he's able to stay healthy. But that's just a huge if. Speaking of running backs, Bryce Love was not added to the PUP list, thank goodness. So he's ready to go 100%. He promised that he would be, and he delivered on it. I'm very excited about Bryce Love. If y'all don't remember, he was basically better than Christian McCaffrey at Stanford after Christian McCaffrey left. Christian McCaffrey tore it up at Stanford, and then after he left to go to the Panthers, Bryce Love stepped up and played even better. Bryce Love had a 2,000-yard season for Stanford, but then he ended up tearing his ACL in the bowl game right before he got drafted, and that was the only reason we got him so late in the draft, because otherwise he probably would have went top 10 in that draft, like top 10 overall in the first round. And we basically redshirted him his rookie season just to make sure we don't rush him back so he can be fully healthy for 2020 and beyond, and it looks like it paid off. And his potential is also ridiculous, because again, he was better in college than Christian McCaffrey was, so you never know what type of talent and potential he could bring to this team. If Darius Geis is like a pass-catching version of Marshawn Lynch, Bryce Love is more of like a, I'm not comparing him to Barry Sanders, but that's his play style. He's not just a run you over. He's an in-between the tackles type of guy, so don't think he's like a Chris Thompson third down back pass-catching guy. He's an in-between the tackles, elusive Barry Sanders type of running type of guy, and then he can catch passes very well also. That's just extra, but that's not the main part of his game. He is not a Chris Thompson. And I love Chris Thompson, but he was mostly a third down back, used on screens and in the passing game, check down options and stuff like that. Bryce Love is an all-purpose back that can be on the field all 3 downs. And then, sadly, as I briefly mentioned before, Reuben Foster and Alex Smith have been placed on the PUP list to start training camp. And it's crazy too, because Reuben Foster is actually looking pretty good with some of the stuff he's been putting on his page. He's been moving very well, very smoothly, but regular human body shape is different from NFL shape. He can be able to do all those moves, all those twists and turns, and be able to put pressure on his legs and all of that, but can he take a hit? Can he take a helmet to the leg? Yet, and he's just not there yet. But Ron Rivera said that once he shows that he is, he will be upgraded from the PUP list. And the important part of the PUP list and why players should start on it just in case is that if a player starts on the PUP list, they can come off early if they're ready. But if you don't put somebody on the PUP list to begin with, then there's no chance to do so once camp begins. So the PUP list is basically like a precautionary measure, like just in case if you're not able to go, we're just going to put you on this list, and then if you become healthy enough to come off of it, then we'll cross that road when we get there. But the worst case scenario is to not put somebody on PUP list thinking they're ready, and then they end up getting hurt, and now they end up having to go to injured reserve. So Reuben Foster being on the PUP list doesn't necessarily mean he's like months away, won't play in 2020 type of injured. It's just precautionary, just to make sure he's good to go before we unleash him. And the same thing with Alex Smith. But with Alex Smith, I definitely want to just make sure y'all know that even if Alex Smith is healthy, and this is a great story, and I'm very happy for him, I'm very proud of him for even recovering the way that he did from all that he went through. But even though this is an open QB competition, do not take Alex Smith or Kyle Allen starting over Dwayne Haskins seriously, especially early on. Dwayne Haskins will have to look terrible for that to happen, honestly. Because if you really break it down, as much as I love Alex Smith, with the West Coast offense we were running and how great our defense was, he was more of a game manager, not a game winner. So I don't know where this Alex Smith should start over Dwayne Haskins if Alex Smith is healthy comes from anyway. First of all, we're not trying to win petty games this season. This is a developmental year where we let the young guys play early, make their mistakes early so we can go ahead and correct them as soon as possible. This is a sacrifice year. This is a developmental, experimental year where we're just trying stuff. We're letting young guys get meaningful minutes, not just preseason or training camp, but regular season games. They're going against the best of the best and learning on the fly. They will make their mistakes, but at least they'll have film on those mistakes, so when they're in team meetings and film sessions, they can discuss what they need to improve and improve on it as soon as possible and become better players sooner. So that when 2021 comes around, we'll be ready as a team. We'll know, all right, this person is good with this and that. This person should make the team. This person should play this positions. This person should come in at this personnel grouping under this scheme. Things like that. We'll truly know what our identity is. We'll know which players are good at what. We'll truly have a great understanding of what our true team needs are, so we'll be able to address those in free agency and the draft. So there's no reason to throw out like somebody like an Alex Smith at quarterback, or some of the older guys at linebacker, or like an Adrian Peterson over Darius Geis, Bryce Love, and Antonio Gibson and running back, because this is the time for us to see what we truly have on this team going forward. 2020 is not the year for petty wins and trying to make a struggle playoff push just to lose in the first round. This is a sacrifice year to see who's best at what, and everything I've said previously. In 2021 and beyond is where we make our Super Bowl push. So again, starting Alex Smith over Dwayne Haskins has no future to it. It may be better wins-wise this season, but that doesn't really matter. Unless you just really, really want to win this season and postpone making the Super Bowl as soon as possible. Sacrificing this season will take us on a road to get into the Super Bowl sooner. But then I know there's some of y'all that just prefer to just win as much as possible as soon as possible, which is why we keep ending up going 8-8, and then we end up being back down to 3-3. Then we cycle back up to 8-8, and then we end up being back down to 3-3. That's why. And then also you have to understand that like they love Dwayne Haskins. They truly believe in him. There's a reason we didn't draft Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert or any of those other quarterbacks, or why they didn't go and get a Cam Newton out of free agency. There's open QB competition, but there's definitely not QB controversy in Washington. Just wanted to clear that up. Now moving on to the franchise to fans update. First of all, as of now, Washington plans to have fans at FedEx Field as long as the NFL and Maryland allows it. And then as far as general admission and club seat members go, the Washington football team sent a letter to season ticket members on Tuesday informing them that they have the option to defer their season tickets to the 2021 season and receive an account credit or a full refund due to the complications surrounding COVID-19. The letter also detailed new policies and procedures related to safety, security, and ticketing. All updates were made following the guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Football League, and Prince George's County's health officials. So this includes like fans in attendance will be required to follow specific safety and security measures, which include mandatory face coverings for all guests on FedEx Field property. Fans can view the updated safety and security measures at washingtonfootball.com/FedExFieldSafe. Also, the team will be implementing mobile-only ticketing this year, meaning season ticket members will not be receiving hard copies of their 2020 tickets if they choose to keep their 2020 tickets instead of deferring it to 2021. There will be several interactive webinars to walk members through how to access their tickets electronically. Also, season ticket members will receive more details about their options for the 2020 season in the coming weeks. If they have any questions, they can reach the membership services team via call or text at 301-276-6050 or by email at tickets@redskins.com. That's crazy that they changed everything the Washington football team but didn't change the tickets@redskins.com, the email yet. That's pretty funny. Speaking of all the trademark stuff, an application to register the Washington football team trademark was filed on July 23rd by Pro Football Inc., which is the corporate entity that owns the NFL franchise. The app was just processed this morning and seeks protection in connection with apparel and entertainment. And there's a lot of things they're trying to make sure they get the trademark for. So the Washington football team clothing, namely fleece tops and bottoms, headwear, caps being headwear, knit hats, t-shirts, shirts, turtlenecks, sweatshirts, shorts, tank tops, sweaters, pants, jackets, golf shirts, knit shirts, jerseys, wristbands, warm-up suits, gloves. It's so much stuff. I can go on forever. It's a huge list of things. They're just trying to make sure they get the trademark for everything. It's crazy that you have to specify everything. You can't just say clothing. You have to specify every little thing, like even boxer briefs, slippers. You can't just say sneakers or footwear. You have to say slippers. I mean, it's crazy. Underwear, pajamas, it's all kinds of stuff. Bathrobes, cloth bibs. You have to say cloth bibs and bibs not of paper. But that's just some random details I wanted to provide y'all. Not something important that you need to know, but you know, with the Rico reports, I got to give y'all everything. Now, I want to talk about the Redwolves Optimism, because there's real momentum growing like I've been saying in my videos, but this one is huge. First of all, former Washington cornerback Fred Smoot, who played for the franchise for a combined 7 seasons between 2001-2009, said the decision on the process of changing the name was perfect. He believes the process will resonate with older fans. You have to take your time, Smoot said. In 4 or 5 weeks, I don't think that was long enough for them to vet the names, which makes sense. That's why we ended up with the Washington football team, so they'll have time to go through the process the right way and make sure they pick the right name and get all the trademarks and everything. Smoot also likes that the team will be asking fans' opinions on the name. Thank goodness. That's a big momentum swing for Red Wolves to be a real possibility. Everyone should have their vote, Smoot said, and he thinks including fans will make them feel more involved in the process, which will of course increase team spirit. It will be the name that we chose as a whole. Smoot already has an idea on what the team should call itself after the 2020 season. The Redwolves. It allows us to keep the burgundy and gold, Smoot said. It allows the fan base to keep the HTTR. It fits all the bills. It checks all the boxes. And I could just see 80,000 people howling like wolves. There's so many things you can do with it, like I've previously explained in several videos, especially my Washington Redwolves video that you can find on YouTube. But the biggest news I heard that gave me optimism for the Red Wolves possibly becoming our next name is that Washington insider Lake Lewis, who's really close to the organization, is everywhere, gets a lot of the news first, is always at training camp giving us play-by-plays. I love following him and everything, so shouts out to him. But he said on the OTR show that there are a lot of people in the Washington building that like the Red Wolves name. I love it! That name is definitely in play. There's no doubt about it. So that's huge room for optimism for the Red Wolves movement. And of course, there was another poll on Twitter asking us Washington fans what team we want the most next. And after 24 hours and 10,272 votes, Red Wolves had 8,289 of them. With Red Tails second, Other third, and Warriors last. Thank goodness. I really don't want to be the Warriors. At all costs, please don't be the Warriors. So this is good. Momentum is building. Lake Lewis, big insider for the Washington organization, said that a lot of people in the Washington building, a lot of people that work for them, the players, the staff, maybe even some coaches, like the Red Wolves name. So let's get it. And then lastly, just want to talk about how terrible the NFL Top 100 list is. First of all, DK Metcalf made it in the 80s. And he's clearly not better than Terry McLaurin. I mean, Terry McLaurin, first of all, is not in the top 100 at all. And then his 86.5 Pro Football Focus grade was the second best rookie wide receiver grade of the decade, behind only Odell Beckham, who had a 91. And then now that we're already through the 80s, that means Matt Ioannidis and Brandon Sheriff won't be on the list either, which is just crazy. I mean, this list is terrible, but we'll show them. NFL Top 100 and Madden, we'll all show them. When the next Madden ratings come out, Madden 22, and when the NFL Top 100 list of 2020 come out in 21, everything will be different. We'll earn way more respect. Dwayne Haskins will be way higher. Hopefully Darius Geis will be way higher. Chase Young, who's already the best rookie drafted. Chase Young, who already has the highest overall rating out of all the rookies drafted. He's an 83, but I still feel like he should be a 90-something easily. He's going to be higher. Brandon Sheriff is going to be higher. A lot of people are going to be way higher. A lot of players on our team are being slept on because people look at box scores and not actual film, and we'll get there. And NFL Top 100 is voted for by other players, which is crazy because several players have talked about how impossible it was to guard Terry McLaurin. I mean, even asked Stephon Gilmore, who was Defensive Player of the Year for the entire NFL. He couldn't even cover Terry McLaurin one-on-one. So I'm not sure. Maybe because, since Terry McLaurin is a rookie, and we didn't get to play every team in the league, so not everybody knows how great he is and how hard it is to cover him. And then plus he missed a couple of games due to injury, so there's just a large player pool that doesn't even know how good he is or if he even exists and stuff like that. Maybe that's probably why he didn't receive votes. But then even then, DK Metcalf is not only higher on the list than Terry McLaurin, but he's on the list and Terry McLaurin isn't, which makes no sense. But that's the end of this Rico's report. I plan on coming out with a big training camp video, basically to explain how training camp works and breaking down a lot of the training camp battles, especially a lot of the key ones. That's going to be a nice little 20, maybe 30-minute video I come out with possibly tomorrow as a Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see. And as always, please like the video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you hit that bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release a video or a live stream. And of course, I appreciate the support from all my sponsors, everybody that donates, all of y'all. I really appreciate y'all. Of course, all of the money y'all send me just goes right back into the production of my videos and live streams. That's why the camera is a little bit better. That's why the mic is a little bit better. That's why my streams don't crash anymore. And the more donations I get, the more I'm going to be able to add better pieces to the PC I built. So the computer's going to be able to run even faster and I'll be able to do even more for the streams. And the donations also help me get extra things from my live streams, like the NFL Game Pass and Sunday Ticket that I have, where I'm able to show the games on my live streams now. Now I'm showing film on my Sunday live stream, so we're just talking about everything, whatever questions y'all have, whatever y'all opinions y'all may have, whatever y'all want to talk about. And now I'm showing film of whichever player we want to show film of during these live streams. And that's thanks to y'all donations for me even having Game Pass. So thank y'all for that also. Again, all of y'all donations are going right into making the stream better. And again, I appreciate the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out. And come on, Gucci, bruh. T.I. and Young Jeezy are extending their hand, man. Just make it happen. Just do it for the A.